Hello, welcome to my channel, everyone. In this series, we'll be doing a deep dive into the world of Baldur's Gate 3. In this video, we'll explain how you can recruit both Halsin and Minthara in your good aligned playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3.
Obviously.
As we'll see later in the video, Minthara finds herself in a rather revealing state, exposed, at the mercy of Ketheric Thorm. So you've been warned. Let this also serve as a minor spoiler warning, although it's really nothing that you couldn't deduce from the title. This tutorial is broken up into 3 parts, and this is part 1. Violet Winter Gaming. Baldur's Gate 3 is rated PEGI 18 for its mature subject matter and graphic content. As such, the videos in this series are intended for a mature audience as they explore the game of Baldur's Gate 3 in depth. Viewer discretion is advised. With all that out of the way, let's jump right into the video. The first thing we'll have to do, assuming you've already been to the Grove and met Kaga and Zevlor, is go and rescue Halsin from the goblin camp. Now, the way I like to do this is by first eliminating Priestess Gut. Then we'll locate Halsin and fight with him to kill all the goblins in the dungeon where he's being imprisoned. Once we've killed all the goblins in the room, making sure none of them were able to raise the alarm, we'll speak to Halsin and have him wait here in the dungeon while we go out and take care of the other 2 goblin leaders.
The ringleaders have to die.
And that's where we'll start the video tutorial. We've killed all the goblins in the dungeon area where they were keeping Halsin. Now we'll just initiate dialogue with him.
The very natural order of things is in danger.
Now, there's quite a bit of dialogue here with Halsin, as it is our first time meeting him, and he has a significant presence at this point in the story. But I like to just tell him at some point that we're willing to help him with the Grove, at which point he'll make the rather salient point that subtlety is not his strong suit. And this is exactly why we will tell him to stay here while we go and deal with the goblin leaders.
Oh, Father bless you. You know what's needed. The deaths of Draw Ragslin, the Drow Minthara, and the Priestess Gut. May nature guide you. I could come and help you, but be warned. I won't be able to suppress my animal side. Subtlety will not be an option. May Sylvanas guide your hand. Focus on the leaders. That's all it will take to restore the balance here.
At this point, we can exit the dungeon and head straight over to the next room to confront Minthara. It's important that when you talk to her, you do not create hostility through dialogue. Instead, after the conversation, you need to make her temporarily hostile, as indicated on her character sheet when you examine her.
If you don't have a tongue, you can't tell us nothing.
Honest, I didn't.
Life, much like your words, is meaningless whelp. End the latter to save the former.
In this initial interaction with Minthara, we'll just casually play into the role of a true soul agreeing to join her hunt. However, since this is a good aligned playthrough and we want to recruit Halsin while helping him with the Grove, we will choose the dialogue options to attempt to misdirect Minthara as to the Grove's location by passing a relatively easy deception check. As we'll see, Minthara knows that the location we pointed out is not where the Grove is. However, she now believes we are devout true souls.
Fool! You have fallen for his lies. We know that area well. There is nothing hidden there. We will have to do this the hard way. Scour the area and hunt them down, then report back to me.
Now, personally, I like to have a stealthy companion like Astarion sneak over here and destroy this war drum so no goblins can use it to sound the alarm, calling more over.
the powder kegs.
To initiate our combat with Minthara, we are going to simply steal this scroll off of the table right in front of her, which will give her the temporarily hostile condition and start a brief dialogue.
Perfect crime.
It's important here that we refuse to give the scroll back, which immediately starts combat. And as we'll see when we examine Minthara, she now has the temporarily hostile condition on her character sheet. This is a pretty easy fight, but personally, I just like to take out the scrying eye first because I know it can easily call for reinforcements. Now, this is the most important part here. It's critical that you remember to toggle non-lethal combat on before finishing Minthara off, so that rather than killing her, you just leave her knocked out and incapacitated. Once that's done, you can confirm that she's knocked out by examining her again, and you'll also see the visual with the stars swirling around her head, indicating that she's knocked out. After the battle, I like to hide the bodies of the goblin casualties, just to be extra cautious. At this point, you can go ahead and loot her equipment, leaving her there while you go and kill Dror Ragzlin and finish out the rest of Act 1 in whatever order you'd like. It's important that after you've knocked out Minthara, you complete the Goblin Leader's quest by finishing off Dror Ragzlin and clearing the Shattered Sanctum before you long rest again. This is because the temporary knocked out condition only lasts until the next long rest, and since confronting Dror Ragzlin always results in aggroing the entirety of the goblin camp, if we waited until after a long rest and Minthara has recovered from her knocked out condition, she could become involved in those hostilities. That's basically it for Act 1. If you've done everything correctly, when you enter Moonrise Towers for the first time, later on in Act 2, Minthara will be there in the main chamber facing trial for failing to retrieve the artifact. Oh, and she'll be butt naked.
I will not be slandered! General, you saw my reports. You know it's not my fault.
The facts suggest otherwise. You were ordered to retrieve the artifact. You failed to do so.
If I had been given drow warriors instead of goblin trap...
Oi! What? You scrag!
Enough!
A blast of mental energy washes over you.
Really speaks to the cruelty of Ketheric Thorm having Minthara stripped nude for her trial in front of the rest of the True Soul cultists at Moonrise Towers.
You're claiming that General Thorm gave you the wrong soldiers.
Yes. No!
You blame the Absolutes chosen for your failure.
Of course it is not the General's fault.
Whose then?
It really shouldn't matter what choices we make in dialogue here, as long as we don't go rogue and try to fight everyone right here and now.
The goblins! They failed me. They failed us all.
You lying little...
And what would you do to those that have failed you?
They are put to death, obviously.
True. Ultimate failure must earn ultimate punishment. Night Warden Minthara, your crime is incompetence, and your sentence is death.
No!
Make her passing slow, Disciple Zorel. Be creative.
Just because poor Minthara failed the impossible mission of acquiring the artifact, General Thorm has her stripped naked while she's imprisoned, completely exposed. And then he has her paraded, fully nude and on trial, in the main chamber of Moonrise Towers, in front of all her peers and subordinates and the entire cult of the Absolute.
Kill the goblins, too.
What? No!
This is just such an intense scene.
Freaking old bag of shit!
I'm so sorry, my lord. She's an unbeliever outside my control.
Try again.
No! No!
Dispose of the rest as you see fit. Or better yet, put that true soul to use. You have far more important matters to attend to. Or have you forgotten?
Of course not, my lord. Thank you. You heard the General. The goblins are yours. Deal with them however you wish. Here in the seat of the Absolute's power, your authority over them is complete. They will obey any command. Report to me upstairs when you're done.
Yeah, you ain't gonna do anything drastic, are ya?
So regardless of the dialogue choices we've made while talking to Zrel and what we decide as to the fate of the goblins, Minthara can be found in the dungeons down below, where she's being tortured by a pair of cultists.
You, true soul.
Zarel won't be pleased about this. She strikes me as the type to enjoy a little bloodshed.
The seat of the Absolute's power, occupied by a general that cannot be killed. But his followers are flesh and blood. We must learn what fuels his power.
So regardless of the dialogue choices we've made while talking to Zrel and what we decide as to the fate of the goblins, Minthara can be found in the dungeons down below, the stairs to which can be found just over here to the right of the main chamber. Once down here, we will find her being tortured by a pair of cultists. We'll just follow these horrific blood streaks on the floor, painting a morbid scene of moonrise. Once we find her down here, it's pretty intuitive how we can rescue her and sneak her out of moonrise by passing a couple of persuasion checks in dialogue.